All right, looks like we're live. Okay, how you doing, Shahab?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Hmm.
How's everything with you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So I think today we're just going to continue the tools we're using AI-wise in med school, and we'll see how we go. This one's a live stream, but we'll upload it later as well. And as always, resources in the description. So
Of
I
course,
think
of
the last,
course.
mhm. I think the other video isn't up yet. So that's if anyone's confused about that, that's going to be up soon. So subscribe. Now, I think I guess we could summarize what we discussed last time. Did you want to
Before I go
do
into the
that?
summary, yes, this video will be up very shortly. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with all your friends who are struggling with medical school right now. I even put
Mm-hmm.
on I'm trying to remember what they're called. The glasses
Glasses.
here. There's a specific glasses. Oh, the blue light glasses, just for the
Oh
dramatic
yeah,
effect. Gotta
yeah,
make
fair.
myself look a bit more of an expert in this case, you know what I'm saying?
That's
But
good. That's good.
yes, sir, yes,
Professional,
sir.
and of
So give a bit
course,
of a sorry.
biohacking as well, right? Kind of got to keep that circadian rhythm. I mean, you have exceptional sleep habits, right?
100%. Whoa, how did you know, bro? Did I just look that
I mean, it's the
rejuvenated today?
glasses.
Yeah,
Yes,
100 shit.
exactly.
It's not like I never put these on now. Just
Okay.
there for decoration.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think
when
I've got
somebody
a pair
walks
just
into my room,
collecting dust. Yeah.
yeah, it's all for show.
Uh,
It's all for show, like most things for medical school, right? You pretend like you're
exactly.
doing stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, to give a bit of a summary about last video, we briefly discussed how you can cover a semester's worth of Anki cards, not reviewing them, but making them in about a
Hmm.
week to 2 weeks time. So if you want to know that and
Yeah.
how to speed up your study schedule, watch that video. Highly recommended. Probably the best ChatGPT AI video on the internet. And it's definitely not because of me. It's definitely not because I was the one giving the information. It's just
For sure. For
objectively
sure.
the best video, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then so today we're just going to continue that discussion, and I think it might not be a long video, but it might be extra long. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay. So um, I guess I'll start today in terms of another rule that I've set for myself. And a lot of this is just, based on experimentation. So we've been doing the experimenting, so you guys don't have to. It's
Yep.
that there's the sources that AI uses are something you can constrain. So if you've got prescribed textbooks, just tell it what those are and tell it to use those as the references. So that way, when there's reference ranges for certain, let's say you get an arterial blood gas done and there's a normal range for the partial pressure of oxygen, different books and different resources, different states, countries, whatever, they'll have different ranges for what's considered normal. And so you want to be using the official numbers that your school or your university is using. So make sure that you've got that preset so that you're not, getting called out on the random numbers that you then present to your class or your professors.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so
example, I think Talia O'Connor says the respiratory rate is, I believe, 60 to 25, whereas
press heart rate
others,
for the heart.
no, not heart rate. Heart rate is like 60 to 90, no?
No. Resp rate is probably like up to 20.
It's between 16 and 25, right? But
16 and
that's
25, that makes
Talia
sense.
O'Connor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
ChatGPT will output and say 12 to 20. So you want to specifically check on the textbook. The only thing you
Mm,
need to really check is that. And then there's also deviation with the normal body temperature range, which I believe is like 35.6 to about 37.4. But on other sources, it'll be like 36.5 to 37.5. You want to double check. Always make sure you're double checking the ChatGPT source, because usually it does bad with textbook numbers. Because fun fact, it doesn't actually access the textbook because it doesn't have access to the textbook. So you actually have to input the notes into it to make sure that it's actually going through it.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think a few things that I want to focus on today, and they're probably things that everyone cares about most when it comes to med school, is like the actual exam side of things. Like at the end of the day, we need to pass. And so one of the things that I'd thought about based off of watching some YouTube videos of, other med students is like, for example, for OSCEs, what a lot of people will do when studying them is they'll try and study the rubric or like memorize the script. And often they don't know why they're asking certain things, or like why they're looking for something like leukonychia or chylonychia or Dupuytren's contracture. They don't know what those things are. They're just saying it because it's part of the script. So
yes, sir.
So
but before we go on, Dreer, bro, what is leukonychia? What is
don't do it, bro.
chylonychia?
No, don't ask me. Don't ask me anything. You're gonna put me on the spot. I'm gonna ignore that the fact that you asked those questions, and I'm gonna keep going. All right.
For a single viewer, leukonychia is white nails. Chylonychia is like brittled spoon nails. And chylonychia usually indicates, I believe, iron deficiency. So hemochromatosis.
Hemochromatosis. Yeah.
Hemochromatosis. There you go.
So the spooning of the nails is like inverted spoon, right? Like you literally, instead of being like that, it's like concave. I think that's the idea.
Is it concave or convex?
Oh, we can check it. How do you even spell it?
No, you're right. It's concave.
Yeah. All right, cool. Looks like I know what I'm talking about. That's good. But last time you hit me with the mitral stenosis. Do you remember?
Oh, my bad, bro.
The first time? Yeah, but that's okay, man. It's okay. All right. So just to continue with that OSCE sort of the approach to preparing for something like that, it can be tempting to memorize the script, and often it might also feel easier because it's sort of less cognitive effort. But an alternative to that, which I'm personally going to try, I'm yet to try, is thinking about like the three most common types of pathologies for, like, let's say you're going to have a respiratory exam, OSCE, knowing the three most common patients and going through those patients so you can connect the symptoms or the signs that you're looking for, right, to what that actually looks like in that patient. Is going to help you evaluate better, have that diagnostic process, and also understand why you're asking. Yeah, like why you're looking for white nails, right? Or jaundice, right? Skin pallor, right? When you have
jaundice is GI, bro.
No, I'm saying like generally, all right?
Okay. I was
generally,
making
like
sure.
when you're looking for signs. Yo. Okay, so let's say
we're both on the same page,
Yeah, fair. Appreciate that. So let's say you have a patient whose skin is pale. If you know what the pathology is, you can connect those dots and go, okay, well, this is why they're pale. But if you're focused on memorizing the script, you won't even think about the word pallor and connect it to pale and understand what that is, because you're literally just moving on to the next thing, right? And you're just trying to remember words that you haven't connected to any meaning. So that's something that I'll be looking to do, and hopefully that also actually works back in terms of being easier to retain. So we have our periodical OSCEs, then we have our end of year ones. So where if you memorize the script, You're going to find yourself rememorizing it as opposed to just knowing what to say because you understand it. So that was a bit of a rant. And yeah, obviously use AI to figure out how to do
AI
that.
will be your best friend. And also,
Yes.
for our single viewer here, and for anybody who's going to watch this in the future, we did make a comprehensive Anki guide that does discuss how to study in medical school. If you guys want another video on that, not specifically on Anki, but other things, and the entire process we do for studying, let us know, and we will get that done for you.
Mm-hmm. Yo, so are we actually live right now on YouTube and Twitch? I didn't
Yeah,
check.
we are
Oh,
live.
we
We are
got
live.
viewers. One on each.
Yeah,
That's
two
pretty good.
viewers. Two viewers.
Yeah. All right, respect. Okay, so let's continue. Now, last time when you did the Anki, you mentioned that you're manually exporting, right? Is that something
Yeah.
that you? Thank you, thank you.
Oh, much respects, much respects. Allahu Akbar.
Okay. Last time you went through the Anki. Now, did you go ahead and try out like trying to make it export the deck as a file so that you can upload it? Do we try that? Do you want to like share your screen, or do you want me to sort of go through something that I'm interested in doing, which is basically I want to take the past exams and run them through ChatGPT, figure out what types of questions, which topics come up the most, and create a study plan that's based on basically high yield content, right? So like every single exam will ask us about something to do with shock, right? Like whether it's someone losing blood, that's our hypovolemic shock, or even septic shock, right? So there's certain subjects that always come up in the exams, and we've got access to probably 15 years worth of exams. So I feel like that's going to be really useful to do, to just like
Also,
dump
for
them all
everybody
in,
watching,
see.
you're lagging a bit, but for everybody
Yeah.
watching, great
Oh, my
study
bad.
tip that I specifically used for the MCAT was to do a practice exam every week to see where I was lacking on the content. And then I would go the next day and review that stuff on Anki or watch videos on it to ensure I solidified it. Because even with Anki review, sometimes it becomes a passive process. And the best way for you to ensure that you're actively recalling or remembering things better is by actually consistently every week engaging on exam material. So, for example, I make Friday my day now, and I'm going to be sitting down and doing one past paper every week. And I'm going to keep on reusing the papers because, funny enough, your medical school or your school in general, they will most likely regurgitate about 50 to 30% of the questions from past papers. Some classes do 100% if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Because very little changes in medicine or in like basically in any subject, but we have most places will have the fortune of having an extensive list or background of past papers. So use them often. And yeah, like Shahab said, that's actually a really good idea. Like the multiple runs, like the first time you go through content, it might just be you understand it on a superficial level, or you just understand the basic concept. And each time you revisit it, you get more and more granular, more details. And that works a lot better than trying to understand something completely the first time you see it, right? It's more efficient. It's going to be better for remembering as well. And it's a lot easier as well. So that's how I've been approaching it so far. We'll see how the exams go, but I'm confident. So yeah, we'll see.
You just need a 50% of
All
pass.
right.
That's the
So
beauty of medical school, right?
yes. But obviously we're HD students, by distinction, A plus, all that.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Yeah. So far, yeah. Okay, so do you want to do your thing first, or should I get started and see
I
what
feel
comes
like you
up?
get started and I'll prompt some questions. And anybody watching, if you want to chime in and try to answer any of the questions I asked from Anki, feel free to do so. And then we'll
All right,
switch over to doing that just to make sure that it's
nice.
a bit more engaging, if that makes sense. And I do believe you suggested this.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Sounds good. All right. I will. Let's open up some ChatGPT.
Yeah. Are you able to present it or?
Okay, yeah, I'll present. I'm just setting up my screen.
Okay, and as he's presenting his screen, I'll answer some typical questions everybody would have about medical school. First one, is medical school hard? Yes, it is incredibly difficult. And probably, in my opinion, the most difficult thing is the constant comparison between you and your classmates, because you're going to have classmates that know way more than you do. And you're going to be sitting there going like, what is this? Like, I don't know anything that's going on. But one thing that you have to remember, it's the tortoise and hare theory, is that it's not how you start the race, but it's how you end the race. Because there's going to be so many students that in the beginning they don't know what's going on, but they'll quickly adapt. And when it comes to exam time, they'll know what's going on. So don't fall into that constant comparison between you and your classmates. Because all that's going to do is going to spiral you into a sense of negativity where you're going to be like, okay, this person knows way more than I do. I'm never going to catch up to this person. Remember, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were in the past. And if you do that, you'll also find that more people will support you through that journey rather than you comparing yourself with others. Because you may not notice this, but people will pick it up subconsciously. The other thing is, mm, will you have free time in medical school? Yes, you will have free time if you make free time. For example, will I have free time to go to the gym? You'll have free time to go to the gym if you ensure that you're going to that gym for that hour. Like before medical school, I was going to the gym 6 times a week. I'm barely managing 3 or 4 right now, especially during Ramadan. That was probably the worst time during medical school. The other thing I would say is medical school for me? At the end of the day, only you can decide that. But if you really enjoyed biology or have a strong passion or reason for being in medical school, then it is definitely for you. You'll always deal with the semblance of imposter syndrome no matter what you do. Like even till this day, I'll be honest, I don't know if Jareer feels the same. I don't think I'm in medical school. Like I'm still thinking I'm doing some sort of undergrad program. And it's not until I put on a stethoscope for an OSCE and go and I start like putting it down to auscultate or listen to the heart or do something. And I feel like, oh, I'm in medical school. It doesn't really hit you. And even when you're working as a physician, you always experience that. So no worries. What you experience is would be normal for everybody. If you guys have any other questions about medical school, feel free to ask us. We'll be get into it right away. It'll also give us some nice future video questions. And also Anki. What is Anki? If you guys don't know, Anki is a flashcard app that uses spaced repetition to help you memorize things. Do you need it in medical school? Not necessarily. I highly recommend it due to my own personal study style. But I know a lot of people that aren't actually using Anki for medical school. They're just going about and doing it in their own way. So even if you don't feel like, oh, I don't want to use Anki, you don't need to necessarily use Anki, although we highly recommend using it. That again. And if you guys want a comprehensive guide on Anki, obviously you got to show the video, watch our video on the comprehensive Anki guide. But yes, I'm going to get into going through some Anki cards and asking some questions. So keep you guys a bit engaged here.
Hmm.
So, name 4 examples of when hematopoiesis is increased.
Okay. So what is hematopoiesis?
Hematopoiesis is the production of blood cell components, which is different from erythropoiesis because erythropoiesis is specifically the production of red blood cells. So this not only includes red blood cells, it includes platelets, it includes white blood cells. And white blood cells is then split into lymphocytes, granulocytes, macrophages, or monocytes. That makes sense. So name 4 examples of when hematopoiesis increase. If I specifically remember, I, I think one is hypoxia. I believe the other is hemorrhaging or bleeding. I think the other is infection and repair. Let me see. Hemorrhage, anemia, infection, hypoxia. Okay, so I'd say that's like a semi, but I'll just do it as a again. So hemorrhage, anemia, infection, hypoxia. Okay, which granulocyte stains dark purple in a gram stain and is involved in allergic reactions? This is an easy one. Jareer.
Yeah, bro,
This is an
you're
easy question.
asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, ask it again.
Which granulocyte stains dark purple and is involved in allergic reactions?
Yo, dark purple. That's the acidic ones. Granulocyte. Why are you saying this is easy, bro? Okay, let me see.
It is. I'll
No,
give
I don't know.
you
Lymphocyte,
base. It's basophil. Because
basophil.
EOS.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you do a gram stain, right? If it's purple, it usually indicates
Mm-hmm.
basic, while as eosinophil, which is more acidic, I believe, stains more
Mm-hmm.
lighter. I believe it's more of an orange stain.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
So, which
keep
white
going.
blood cell
So what I'm
becomes a
going to say,
macrophage in tissue?
sorry, I'm just gonna explain what I'm going through at the moment. So we have um, basically I've got a bunch of past exam papers downloaded, and I've got some projects. Oh, I've got my MD1 project set up, first year medical school, and I've got a few chats in here that have context already. So context is really important with AI because you're fine tuning, and when you fine tune, you get better output. And as always, um, it's only going to be as valuable as the information you can give it and the prompts that you give it. So one really good tip for AI use in general is to tell it, give it a role, give it the instructions, give it context, give it an example. So it's like RICE, role, instructions, context, example. And then, so RICE, yeah. And then at the end of that, you tell it to ask you any questions for clarification, right? And then generate a better prompt than the one you've given it, right? And so that will always produce a reliable that's your reliable framework for getting the best output possible, right? And then from there, if you're not happy with it, obviously you keep tinkering, but that usually gives you something better than you had already requested, in a sense. So I'll use an example of that. So yeah, keep going with the questions.
Of course. Should we drop a prompt video? How to prompt ChatGPT?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just gonna put this in RISE framework for engineering, and
You know
you
what I
guys
think would
can
be better?
read that. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain how
What's
you
up?
prompt? Can you explain how you prompt ChatGPT?
Uh,
Do you only use the
okay.
RICE framework for prompt
So
engineering?
no. Usually the important so when you give it a specific role, it speaks with and thinks through the language and sources of that role. So if I told ChatGPT that it is a product engineer, then it's going to give me features about the product that it's making in the language of a product engineer. So it's not going to get technical. It's not going to write the code for me. But if I tell it it's a chief technical engineer, and then I give it the same instructions, it's going to basically create the product, or like if it's an app, it's basically just going to create the app for me, right? So just that simple role to start off with, or at any point in your prompt, is going to completely drastically change the actual output. So I generally don't use Rice like rigidly, but I try to hit all of these I guess content points, right? So I'm pretty lazy with examples because I sometimes feel like my example is going to limit it. So sometimes I won't put the example in, and even it knows better than I do, right? It's telling me that examples are optional, right? So these three are important though, right? So the task or the goal or the instruction, right? The context, and this is where you can put in constraints, right? So if you want to make a presentation, actually I won't go into that, that's risky. So if you want to sort of, let's say, make a speech for whatever reason, the context might be you telling it who the audience is, right? Is it primary school children or is it professors of physics, right? And that way the language it gives you is going to be directed to that audience. And that really, it makes a huge difference. And usually that also makes it less obvious that you've been using AI to just do all your work for you, right? Okay, so in terms of how I prompt, my goal is to just what I actually do is I just turn on dictation or the voice command, and I just ramble at it, and then I let it figure it out, to be honest. And that usually works pretty well because I can then speak as things come to mind, as opposed to trying to write something perfectly. What about you?
I use the Rice framework where I do role. And for example, if I'm prompting for making Anki cards, I'm a first year medical student at this specific
Cool.
university, doing it for
Yeah.
this particular week. The title of the week is so and so. And then my instructions would be, I want you to first summarize all my notes that I give you. It will be formatted in the learning objective and note when I give it to you. I want these notes put in bullet point, and I want to ensure that you don't add anything, omit anything, and keep the notes exactly as they are. Then I want you to make Anki cards. I will provide examples below with the in a what based style and sentence completion style. And then I'll provide examples afterwards, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you're very specific there, and you have to be for Anki, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
like I said, after the whole Rice framework, the best thing almost always is to tell it to ask you clarification questions, and then generate the prompt that would create a better output, right? Than the prompt you've just. And then it'll give you a whole three, a whole, what's it called? 3 3 3 3 3. What am I saying 3 for? Oh yeah, because we lost the YouTube viewers. All right. I don't know if YouTube went down or what, but it is what it is. Okay. Am I still running smooth, or is my voice cutting out?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Let me check YouTube.
All right, now we're back. All good. All right. Yeah. So what I'm doing right now on this left side here is I'm going to give it basically an introduction and instructions for what's going to happen. So this is going to be the context part. And at the same time, I'm just going to upload a bunch of past exams, probably like 6 to 10 at a time, because I think it limits it to 10 uploads per thing. And then we'll go through figuring out how we can best use those exams to create a plan for how I'm going to approach the entire semester.
Done. Okay, let's run through some Anki cards while Jareer is doing this. What cell types can monocytes differentiate into? So they differentiate into, I believe,
Dude, ask.
macrophages and the different type of macrophages.
I was going to say ask easier questions.
These are literally these are the questions. Bro.
I guess you're not.
These are the questions.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Sorry, keep going.
You have Kupffer cells, which are in the liver, I believe. Microglial cells, which are in the brain. You have osteoclasts, which is in the bone. And if I remember correctly, Langerhans cells are a type of dendritic cell. That's not that. Kupffer cell, osteoclasts, microglial cells, I believe. Alveolar macrophages. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'll give that a hard. Decent. Name 4 examples of when hematopoiesis is increased. We already did this card. It's hemorrhaging, anemia, infection, and tissue repair. If I remember correctly. Oh, it's hypoxia. Hemorrhage, anemia, infection, hypoxia. What percentage of white blood cells are lymphocytes? 30 to 40%.
Wait, do you want to, while I'm going through this, or do you want me to keep going?
Keep going, because I think it's better for them to be able to see how you're doing it rather than just going through the Anki cards, because we can explain the behind the scenes.
And we'll upload this. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so here's like probably a quick example of what I was saying before, where shock physiology and management, this was something we learned in week 1, and it seems to be like one of the most common things across exams over the years. So, a lot of people would have still been trying to figure out med school in the first couple of weeks or the first few weeks, and so they may have had either a tenuous grasp on the concepts, or maybe they understood it, but they didn't have a retention approach or plan in place, right? So whether that's Anki or anything else, so they understood it and then it just left their brains. Like for me, I realized in week 4 or 5 that everything that I thought I had learned and understood in week 1 and 2, it was down to like I had retained very little of it, and I was sort of like on to the next thing and the next thing. So that's when I started considering Anki, and I've started using it, and I think it's helping, but we'll see.
Yeah, and also shock is interrelated with a bunch of other concepts as well, because it's brought up again in, I believe, diabetes, because the excessive fluid loss and polyuria can lead to hypovolemic shock. And also it's brought up again in, I believe, anemia too, because anemia or blood loss itself results in hypovolemic shock too. So most likely the things they will test majority of the time will be concepts that are interrelated or are constantly brought up or can be seen from different system angles, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
I'm gonna go
100%
to a
true.
urination break.
That's okay. All right, no worries.
I'll be back. I'm also gonna
Yeah.
grab some Israeli dates, unfortunately. Free Palestine.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So at the moment, I am uploading the exams and just giving it a little bit more context each time. So now, just want to make sure that it doesn't focus too much on the stuff that I gave it first, because that's something that can happen with AI. A common issue with a few models is that they will start from what's it called? They'll start with what actually is at the beginning of a massive piece of text. So like if you upload a book, it'll read the beginning and the end of it and emphasize those more than it does the middle, the chunk. So I will keep reminding it as I go to try and get more value out of it, like especially since more recent exams tend to be more reflective of the current syllabus. Any changes? And focal topics. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I don't remember what I did from 16 to 2008. Yeah. So we'll go past UTS. All right, so it looks like we've got some common subjects that tend to be stressed. And that's cool. So as we're going, it's asking me questions. I'll answer those questions as well, just so that, and I'll say, keep asking me follow-up questions. Also, if you can generate a better prompt or what you understand my goal to be, then write that as well. All right, so question 1, start from week 13. Yes. Start from week 13. And then we have question 2. Absolutely. Mark sessions. And then 3, optimize for weekly. Yeah. I'm not sure what that means. So I'm going to ask it, what do you mean by daily or weekly flexibility? So now while I was typing that, it was uploading. I think there's still one file to go. Let's see what's going on. Should be fine. I'll just re-upload this one, 2010 past UTS.
The prodigal son has made his return with this mid-June date.
Congratulations. Okay, so I'm just going to submit this one because, and since there was an error, I'm just going to copy this. What's going on?
What you'll notice a lot is ChatGPT will tend to error quite frequently.
Crashing.
And a workaround, it'll crash a lot.
Okay.
But a workaround is just to shorten the prompt a bit. If you shorten the amount of information you give it, it'll stop crashing.
I think it's more the fact that this conversation is like, it's been running for like 3 months or 2 months. And so the memory that it's using, or that's like looking back on, is pretty intense. It could be both.
Very true.
Okay, so I'm just going to refresh this. Bro, the whole window's cooked. Let's see. So what are you saying, Anki wise?
What is the function of platelets?
I'm trying to figure out what's stopping it.
Blood clotting and preventing hemorrhaging. Hemostasis and blood clotting.
I'm so confused. It's not even, oh, there we go. All right, that took a while. Okay, so we are back. And it was 2010, this one. I might not upload this file if it's crashing it. Let's give it another shot. All right, hit me with another question. I'll get it right this time.
Of course, I will quickly send that question for you. What are Kupffer cells in the liver derived from?
What?
Kupffer cells in the liver.
Cells?
What are they derived from? Kupffer cells.
I don't even know how to spell that.
They are derived from monocytes. They're derived from monocytes because Kupffer cells are a type of macrophage specific to the liver.
All right. So for our audience, what is a macrophage?
A macrophage is, so I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you have an army, okay? And you're marching into an occupied territory. No, I shouldn't say that. But let's say you're somebody living in an occupied territory, right? And you have people who are encroaching on your land. So you need something to destroy the vehicles that they're using to encroach on your land. So what you decide to do is you decide to make a robot that will consume the intruders. So the robot will eat up the intruder, and then it will present any of the broken vehicle parts to other people. So basically, that is an allegory for the macrophages. A macrophage is something that'll phagocytose a pathogen or foreign body. Phagocytose meaning that it'll eat it up, break down its
Mm-hmm.
components, and then it'll take like a small component called an antigen and then present it to something called an antigen. It'll present it to, I believe, B cells or T cells, specifically depending on if it's
Mm-hmm.
cell-mediated immunity or uh, B cell-mediated or humoral immunity. Is that a good explanation,
Okay.
or did I butcher it?
It felt forced, but yeah, the example felt a little bit forced. I'm gonna say it's like the word itself. So phage or phage, the phage basically means to eat, and so
Yeah.
when you see phagocyte, that's something that eats. Site being cell, so eats cell, right? So it eats up cells. So yeah, nice. And then yeah, I like that it presents it to your receptors, because that's sort of like when, you know, in the Middle Ages, let's say, if someone was treacherous or someone was caught, they would be decapitated, and their body, or they'd be killed and their body would be hung up in the public square, right? To as a warning to the rest of the people. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Yes, sir.
So
Because remember, innate
I was going to
immunity
say,
in itself.
coming up those. Mm-hmm.
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, coming up with those examples and stories is the best way to remember these things.
Yes, sir. I would fully agree. So remember, innate immunity is specific. It's non-specific. So it doesn't know if it's what type of bacteria it is. For example, is it Streptococcus pneumonia? Is it Streptococcus pyogenes? If it's Vibrio vanillificus, whatever it's called, you don't know which specific bacteria it is. So if you want to specifically know what bacteria it is, you need to take a small piece of the bacteria, present it to allow for a specific response. And usually for bacteria, that specific response is the release of antibodies. That's why you have monoclonal antibody therapies. And it's the basis of vaccines, because what vaccines do is they'll insert into you that antigen or that part of the bacteria that's specific to it, that usually doesn't mutate a lot. Because what happens if it mutates a lot? It's if that antigen is something that mutates a lot, it'll lose specificity for it quickly. So it won't be able to target that particular bacteria. If that makes sense.
Mm.
So how I view immunity in
Let's hope
general
it
is the
makes
fact that
sense.
it's like, yeah, hopefully, it's like a battlefield, and all of these things are like your units. If you've played like Civilization, the game, it's very similar to that.
Okay. Nice. I've heard good things. 2017. So yeah, we're still uploading here. It's going to be a lot. So I asked it to give me an improved prompt. So we can see you're my AI exam prep coach. I'm a first-year medical student. So we can already see it's given it a role. We've got now we've got some context. Currently in week 13, blah, blah, blah. I want you to build me, and there's your instruction, very specific. Prioritize what comes up, include mock exams, avoid wasting time on low yield topics. So that's our very direct instructions. And this is what I mean by tell it to give you the prompt, because at the end of the day, you're not going to come up with all of this. And the more information you feed it, the more it's going to then start thinking for you. And so one thing that happens a little bit more with practice is that you stop using it like Google, and you start using it more like it's ChatGPT, right? So early on, a lot of people will ask very closed questions and direct questions, like, who was the first person that landed on the moon? right? And it's going to tell you something, and you can believe it if you want, but that's not how to use this stuff, right? You really, I mean, obviously fact checking and all that's good, but where it becomes really powerful is when you let it start taking over and you basically just give it permission. Like at some point, all I'm going to be doing is saying yes, continue, yes, 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 right? Because it's doing the thinking for me now at that stage.
Much agreed. Much agreed. ChatGPT, at the end of the day, is just a tool, and it depends on how you use it. If you don't know how to use it properly, then you're not going to get the right results. That is why we'll be dropping a course on how to prompt ChatGPT very soon, probably next week.
Okay. Inshallah.
Inshallah. I know I unanimously made that decision right there. But...
Oh, no. I mean, I'm happy to try and do it tonight, but I'm just a little bit distracted here, trying to see if it's asked me any questions. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So again, I'm answering them as I go and as I'm uploading because, yeah, the more questions it has, the better. And so far, I've only given it the formative exam questions, which I'm expecting are easier. Formative exams are exams we have that don't go towards our final grade, but they're good for us to, you know, if your approach to studying isn't working, then it'll be like a wake-up call. Otherwise, it'll be just confirmation that, you know, you're at this level right now. So,
well, unfortunately, we do not have any formatives. They've made it into a summative. So.
That's true. Okay. So,
man, our alma mater is a bit ridiculous, but it's okay. At the end of the day, a doctor is a doctor. Man, why are we the cohort without cadavers? Why are we the cohort doing the summative nonsense when it should be a formative? Like, come on, man.
But maybe it's because we're the cohort with like next level ChatGPT as well. The grass is always greener, man.
Very true, very true, very true. Can't complain. Just gotta adapt. As everything in life is just a matter of adapting to your circumstances.
All right, when do we have our final exams? Do you have them on your calendar?
I think November. I don't have it exactly, but I know it's like, yeah, I think so. It should all happen the same week.
Okay, I'm just gonna put in mid-November. Time available, how many hours can you commit realistically? I'm gonna say 2 hours per day and 5 days per week maximum, because of course I like to do less and get more.
Yes, sir.
Preferred format. So for me, I am thinking I want the plan. So this is for the plan. I'm going to go focus blocks. So that way I can, you know, if I feel like studying on a day, I can cover 2 or 3 days worth. Current strengths or weaknesses. I don't have any microbiology background, so genetics, biochemistry. What else is?
Yo, also your screen, our pictures are covering your prompting.
Oh, okay, there we go. That makes it better. All right, so misspelt. So in some cases, histology is all right for me because it's just, I think everyone's new to it.
Yep, I would agree.
Feel overwhelming. Clinical and communications, as well as anatomy.
Now, just to recap, he is
Are
specifically
much.
showing us how to prompt ChatGPT for final exam papers to help you guys with passing medical school in the shortest amount of time available, or not even shortest amount of time, with the least amount of effort.
Yes. So you can live your lives and not be a stereotypical med student who's just too busy to do anything else. So would you like flashcard ready outputs or active recall quizzes to enforce high yield back? I'm going to say no to that.
No, yeah, perfect.
All right, we'll keep going. All right, did you have another question while that's generating?
Sorry? Ask questions.
Guys, also eat dark chocolate. Good.
Helps boost testosterone. Yet again, we're back to the name for examples when hematopoiesis is increased, tissue hypoxia, hemorrhaging, anemia, infection. Boom. Hematopoiesis itself is a generation of new blood cells. Sites over time are yolk sac, fetal liver, bone marrow, also spleens to a lesser extent, then hematopoietic stem cells and lineages. All mature blood cells originate from hematopoietic stem cells in bone marrow. Hematopoietic stem cells can either undergo self-renewal or differentiate, into hematopoietic progenitor cells,
so I'm just
which are committed to specific lineage.
I'm just going to interrupt. So what I've noticed right now, and this is always important to just keep checking it. Basically, it's reading it, and because I didn't tell it what the date is, I just said the exams are in November. This probably doesn't have the current date access. So I'm just going to note that as I go through. So week 13, we are currently in April 20th. I have
just finished week 12
of exams. Oh yeah, it already knows that, so it's starting from week 13. Okay, so the first set is weighted. It's like 18%, isn't it? Well, I'm gonna say 20%. I think it's 22%. Yeah, 22 and 78, right?
Yep.
And the second set in November. So first set at the end of June. All right. So that'll fix that issue. I'm going to upload the learning objectives file because that's going to help it know which subjects are going to be in the first set of exams, which is semester 1. I actually already have it. Week 13, high yield topics. All right. So now it's telling me to focus more on microbiology. when I said it was a weakness, because it's probably going to be extremely important.
Yeah, Hep A, Hep
All
B,
those
Hep C will
exams come up
probably
often.
be. Yeah. They'll probably come up often
Oh yeah,
just
those
due to
are
the
big.
amount of emphasis they placed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, I've uploaded a bunch of past papers, and we're using those to figure out what we need to study throughout the semester. And then obviously, as you get closer to the exam, you hyper focus on that high yield stuff, and you don't worry too much about something like what could be an example of something that doesn't come up. Actually, I might have.
Like embryonic
I'm gonna
embryonic embryonic hemoglobin is 2 zeta 2 epsilon. You don't need to know that. Most likely, you just mostly need to know the differences between fetal hemoglobin and adult hemoglobin. You don't need to know probably about HbA1c as much. Those are super low yield questions. Are
That's actually a
probably
good
never.
point. So I kind I don't have it here, but I did try this once before, and I just asked it to make a table of the subjects that come up the most often. And we spent 2 weeks on thalassemia, basically, right? And it turned out that it's come up once in the last 10 years in an exam. So that's an example for me where it's like, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time revising this because the odds of it coming up are very low. And even if it does come up, it might be one question.
Very true, very true. Most likely what will come up though is protein structure, genetic mutations, and transcription translation, as well as anemia and hemoglobin. Those are probably things that are more emphasized, and specifically thalassemia.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Anemia is big. All right, let's see if it asked me any more questions. So now I'm going to take, if there's any questions, which topics? All right, so no, I might take that original, the prompt it generated before, and I'm going to add this in. Just to refine it further.
Man, I always get so frustrated with ChatGPT because it keeps on not prompting things properly. So you got to consistently keep on feeding the original prompt back into it.
Yeah. 2025 problems, huh?
Yeah, very true, very true.
How much do you use Google now?
I'll be honest, I barely use Google. I
I
just
noticed
mainly use
myself today.
ChatGPT and YouTube.
Yeah. I noticed myself like, Google used to be like, Control T G, right? Like new tab, Google, or like just
Yeah,
from the search bar. But
yeah.
by default, I typed C first. I was like, okay, the switch has happened. I'm going straight to ChatGPT. So like I opened like the actual the app as well, or the software version, but it's on like every single window I have open. There's like 1 or 2 ChatGPT tabs, so there's a lot happening.
Yeah, honestly, it's a much better search engine than Google is. I feel like the problem with Google is the ranking, and a lot of the times the information is usually a lot less accessible than ChatGPT. For example, ChatGPT will give you a succinct or very specific response to what you're looking for, whereas Google you'll have to be searching more and more to find exactly what you want. And I'm not a fan of the Gemini AI thingy on the top portion of Google too.
The summary.
Yeah, the
Okay.
summary. Sometimes it's helpful, but I'm more used to ChatGPT's interface, which is a way the business has bought you to use it consistently or use it a lot. We should probably try some questions, eh?
Yeah. So hit me with a question.
Oh, I was gonna say from this.
Oh, from this? All right.
Yeah.
I'll scroll up. It probably asked a couple. Oh, actually, I have the other window open. Okay, let's. Do you want to do a short answer or an MCQ?
Just do MCQ. There's no point in doing short answer right now.
All right. All right. Let's come down here. Okay, so which of the following would cause central cyanosis but not peripheral cyanosis? Hypothermia, heart failure, tetralogy of Fallot, or Raynaud's phenomenon?
Heart failure.
Interesting.
No, not heart failure.
Heart failure?
I don't know what tetralogy of Fallot or
I've got mine. I've got mine. Well, okay, Raynaud's is literally when your fingers turn blue, so it's got to be this, right?
Yeah, based on process of elimination, because heart failure does cause peripheral cyanosis. Hypothermia for sure causes it.
Are you sure? What if it's just like, actually, yeah, it does. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's see. Question 7. All right, we'll answer question 7 and 10, and then we'll see what the answers are. Key feature of type 1 muscle fibers. I'm going to go with fast contraction speed. What do you got?
It is fast contraction speed. Because it's not fatigue resistant. It doesn't have a high glycogen content. It does use anaerobic glycolysis, but both of them do. So I'd definitely say it's a fast twitch fibers, a fast contraction speed.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, interesting. Anaerobic glycolysis. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So 7 was tetralogy. Let's go. That's just exam strategy right there. I have no idea what that is. And then 10, it says fatigue resistance.
Fatigue resistance.
Type 1 is slow twitch. I had it wrong.
Oh,
we had them wrong. Type 2 is fast twitch.
Oh, man.
So now we won't forget that.
Yeah.
Public shame. Right,
type 2 is fast. That makes sense because anaerobic glycolysis, it does do anaerobic glycolysis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that makes sense because it couldn't have been both.
Yeah. Fattest L on the internet right there. I can't believe it.
All right, look at that. It's so it's now, I didn't ask for a refined prompt, but because I gave it more context, it's added that in, and basically we've got a final version that we can use. All right, cool. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to keep uploading. I'll probably just do the last set of uploads, just go with the most recent exams, because
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta go to the gym because the gym is gonna close at 10.
Yeah, you got an hour. All right, hold up. I'll just do the last set. Dump. Okay, so we'll just go here. No, actually, we're cool. All right. So I guess at this stage, we can probably just stop it then. Do you want me to just continue and see what the output is? You can head to the gym.
Yeah, I would recommend you continue.
I don't mind.
And
Basically, yeah, it just becomes like a study session. All right.
yes, sir.
Easy.
Of course, of course.
I'll catch
And
you.
just letting you guys know that we will be live streaming our study sessions from now on. So you guys can get a behind the scenes look of how.
Yo, did I
med
tell you what I
students-
started doing?
What did you start doing?
I got a projector.
Yeah.
And you can see my I got a pull-up station as well now. Basically, I can project my notes or the videos that I'm watching on the ceiling, and I can do my I'm basically like I actually play osmosis videos before going to bed. Like that's helping me at least sleep better, to be honest. Otherwise, it takes forever to get to sleep. But when you got med school videos, you can fall asleep very quickly.
Which projector did you buy?
It's like one of those portable ones that you can. It's like cylindrical. You'll probably like if you look up projector on Amazon, it'll be like one of the first ones that comes up. I'll show you.
How do you connect the projector to your laptop?
No, I can just use the projector's interface because it's got Android on it. So I've got the Osmosis app, or I just go on YouTube. But for connection wise, it's HDMI, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth as well. Yeah, it was basically this one. So I like it, it fits in my bag as well, so I can take it anywhere. But real easy, real cheap, and really good. But I'll put an affiliate link in the description. Don't buy it. It's not actually useful for if you're actually trying to study. That's just I don't know. I use it for backup study.
No, I'm gonna buy this now.
All right, where are we at now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I could show you.
It's definitely smart.
So I'm gonna turn the. Yeah. Now I'll show you what it looks like. So give me 1 second. So we've got the remote, and there it is. You see it up there?
No, that's so smart. That's so smart.
Yeah. And that's it.
That will be bought.
All right.
Okay, I will see you very soon. I'm just gonna go to the gym right now, eat food, and if you're still on, I'll hop back on.
Yeah, I'll probably still be on. I don't know how long this will take, but I'll go have dinner after that. All right, man. Enjoy.
Yeah, perfect. Sir, take care. I will speak to you soon, and thank you so much for tuning in, everybody that's stuck through, or one subscriber.
Let's go.
Or one viewer, sorry.
Damn, bro. We got a lot
on
of
Twitch too.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's someone I know on Twitch. Who knows?
Oh, fair. Okay, sir. All right. Take care then, boss. I'll be back.
All right, man. Take care.
Oh.
Okay.
I accidentally took your screen off. My bad. I'll be back.
All good. All right, so continuing this. So conversational is always best. Usually helps you, notice the gaps in your own thinking, rather than giving it instructions. If you feel like your instructions aren't the best, or you feel like there's something that might be missing, just ask it. Be like, what do you think? And the suggestions are usually best practices, so you always end up finding things that you didn't think of. It's like having a mastermind, or like a mentor. So you wouldn't be telling your mentor what to do. It would be the other way around. So use it that way. Okay, let's see what we have now. So across the past 15 years. All right, this is looking good. Course outline. Maybe not. Let's be tested. Okay. And let's do this step by step. Tell me how to follow your lead. I haven't done this before. Let's see what it comes up with. April, May, June. So we've got about 2 months. Okay, nice. I'm going to make a separate document. to minimize my do you think wise to use actually this is me giving it my thoughts because I don't know if I'll be able to stick to opening this chat every day and telling it to give me the next thing, even though it's not hard. It's really just a matter of coming back to it. So let's see. All right, so it's gotten into it. Cool. Nice. So it already knows my recommended or required prescribed textbooks. It's got the resources I tend to use more, so YouTube, osmosis. And so what it's recommending is I actually read through notes first and then watch the video, which that's interesting. Focusing on these three. Again, that's good. And then we have a task. That's supposed to be 1 hour. And then we have block B. And at the moment, it's 5 pairs of blocks per week. And we'll see how that goes. Glucose, insulin, glucagon. So what I'm thinking about is whether I should be going, because this is week 1 and 2, or if I should continue from where we're currently at. I'm going to ask it. Okay, interesting. Just to make it reconsider. Nice. That sounds perfect. All right, so we've gotten to a place where I can now basically let ChatGPT take over and tell me what to do. Now, this is for learning. If you're doing other things, you have other projects, like you're building an app or you're building a business, then generally this is where you would have a secondary, an AI agent that has access to the computer and that basically does the work for you, right? So if you're coding, you would have something like Cursor or Windsurf or Bolt. And if you're building something more like an e-commerce store, then you might look at Google's AI Studio or Manus and give it instructions. It covers a lot of the basic stuff. Okay, so now is where I'm going to call this reframe reality. All right. That's my title. Cool. Usually I like just copying directly rather than having it export a doc, because the formatting of the exported files, it tends to be pretty bad. Actually, this isn't great either, but probably fine. All right, cool. So I'm interested to see what it actually does with the prompt you on Saturday and Sunday, because I haven't used Foro with scheduled tasks. It would be useful, but I can't upload files. So we'll see what this one does. Okay, and then we'll come back to week 14 once we've answered some of these check-in questions. So I'm going to rename this one because this is probably going to be my primary file now, primary chat. We're going to call it MD1 study plan. Mastery. I'll just call it that. All right, cool. Let's see how this goes. So I'm just going to start this since week 13 is almost here. we've got block 1, high yield core concepts. So it says first thing we do is focus, method, flowchart, shock types, VP regulation, draw and label. So it wants me to draw and label flowcharts. I feel like I need more comprehensive instructions. So although that looks good, I'm going to ask it to give me more detail. Elaborate on what I need to do for each session. Should do. So this is pretty interesting. I had a professor who said his approach was the same when it came to studying. He would do a lot of drawing. So I'm just gonna see what the day one says, and if it's what I was thinking, then yeah, all right, cool. But I'll probably stick to using the table because otherwise it's too much generation. Maybe I might come back to this stuff as well, the actual lists. But yeah, that looks like it's enough. So make a flowchart of the shock types, make a flowchart of how blood pressure regulates, and then I forgot what RAA is. Draw and label the RAS system from memory. I guess that's what that is. Baroreceptors, draw and label. So this whole session is 1 hour of drawing, which is pretty interesting. It leans into generative thinking, also known as germane cognitive load. That's something we might make a video on. Okay, cool. And then we would have SAQ recall, short answer question, self-mark using. All right, so basically it tells me to do 1 hour of the 2022 short answer questions, which is recall based. Okay, nice. What's tomorrow looking like? Or the day after? Glucose, insulin, glucagon, review, insulin, fed and fasted states. So definitely looking high yield. Hepatic portal triad, one histo question from. All right, cool. I like this. It makes sense. We'll see how we go after 1 week. And that's probably it for today. Oh, it's gone all the way down. Okay. Is this plan good to pay to approach medical school? What limit I should give you? Let's see. Yep. So the adaptive is super important. That's why I haven't made the whole thing today. Yo, you're already done? That was a quick session. Or are you at the gym right now, Shahab? You've got leg day. Nice. Leg day at 9:30 p.m. That's good. That's good time. Good times. All right. Limitations. Time drift. So this was something I brought up before. I think it should be okay if I'm just doing that quick review of the handbook before going into a class. At least I can contribute superficially. Weak zones. Yep, this is another issue that I might have to overcome just by doing more, because yeah, okay, and I think the visual flowcharts are going to help. Minimum viable knowledge, MVK. I like it. This is what I was thinking about. You know, it's usually the same bugs or the same medicines that keep coming up, and so rather than memorizing a table of like 12 things, you know, whether it's going from hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E, you know, basically categorize hepatitis A and E on one side, B, C, and D on the other side, and they're essentially, now you're just learning 2 things rather than 5, because they have a lot of similarities. So yeah, simplify the concepts, or categorize. I think categorize is the word. Categorize them, and then use your reasoning to place information where it is most valuable. Cognitive overload. Okay, under preparation for clinical exams. So that's going to be something that I need to insert. Cool. All right. We'll have to keep that. I'm going to copy this over into the document. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so I don't really need this. This should be fine. These are the 2 main ones. Okay, cool. %, you love how many of your peers are studying for. Let me know if you like a minimum viable flashcard pack. The let's see. Diagnostic checklist may not be as useful since doubt looking for review. And last thing, decision tree would be very interesting to try once it is relevant. All right. Oh, still got that going. Shahab's still at the gym. Make this smaller. I can't. All right. Cool. All right. So now that's cool. Into your upcoming focus blocks as compact review-friendly tools. Nice. So that'll be built in. Common traps, distractors, under pressure. Okay. Upload mouse key and or assessment rubrics as they are released. Okay. Even more. Okay. Perfect. All right. That's my plan for tomorrow. We have day 1. Read a summary or video explanation of the types of shock. Understand how the body compensates. Redraw a flowchart. So the drawing is going to be extremely important. And so I'm going to use a tablet and start collecting all of my drawings. Grays, Tally's Arcana, Physiology, Anchor. Okay, and then we switch over to the recall, which is just going to be questions from the short answer questions from the from these. So is it telling me which ones? 2022. Let's see what they look like. I'll probably use one of these. Use this one. Oh, that's Word. I'll open a PDF just to be faster. Okay. So in this case, I want to go to, what's it telling me? Oh, actually, it's given me the question as well. That's good. Perfect. All right, so I don't need to open any files. Even easier. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we are out.